Lily Harper pedaled hard against the Seattle rain, her old bike creaking under the strain. Water soaked through her thin jacket, dripping into her eyes, but she barely noticed. Her phone, strapped to the handlebars, buzzed with the next delivery order, her 10th of the night. The clock on the screen glowed 11:23 p.m., and her legs screamed from hours of riding. She glanced at the faded photo taped next to it, her 4-year-old daughter, Mia, grinning with a smear of frosting on her cheek from last month's birthday. That smile was the only thing keeping Lily going. 6 months ago, life hadn't been like this. She'd been a freelance baker, crafting cakes and pastries from their cramped apartment kitchen while Mia napped. Back then, she and her boyfriend Jake had scraped by. Not rich, but stable. Until the day she came home from the grocery store to find his stuff gone, a crumpled note on the counter. "I'm out. Sorry." No goodbye, no warning. A week later, she learned he'd drained their savings and maxed out her credit cards on some shady online poker site. The debt crushed her dreams faster than she could bake a batch of cookies. She sold her baking equipment, moved into a dingy one-bedroom on the edge of town, and signed up for a food delivery app. Now she pedaled through the night, chasing tips to keep Mia fed. The rain picked up, slapping her face as she turned onto a quieter street. Her phone pinged again, the last order of the shift. She pulled over under a flickering streetlight to check it. Thai food, headed to Emerald Heights, a sleek tower downtown where the rent probably cost more than she'd make in a year. The name on the order read Mr. Carter. She muttered to herself, "One more, then I'm done." Mia's waiting. Her mom, Grace, was watching Mia tonight, giving Lily a chance to pull a double shift. Every dollar mattered when you were a single mom with a kid who deserved better than hand-me-downs and instant noodles. She tucked a strand of wet hair behind her ear and pedaled toward the glowing high-rise. The streets got cleaner, the buildings taller, as she left her world behind for the shiny part of Seattle. Emerald Heights loomed ahead, all glass and steel, the kind of place she'd never belong. She parked her bike by the entrance, locking it to a pole with a chain that had seen better days. The doorman, a guy named Tom with gray hair and a tired smile, waved her in. "Evening, Lily, late one again," he said, holding the door. "Always is," she replied, forcing a grin as she shook rain off her jacket. She balanced the soggy delivery bag, the smell of curry seeping through the paper, and headed for the elevator. Penthouse level, the app said. She'd delivered here before. Same routine every time: drop the food on the table by the door, ring the bell, and leave. Mr. Carter never showed his face, just tipped decently through the app. It was clockwork, and she liked it that way. No small talk, no hassle. The elevator hummed as it climbed, the mirrored walls throwing back a version of herself she barely recognized. Soaked hair plastered to her face, dark circles under her green eyes, her red delivery uniform hanging loose on her frame. She'd dropped 10 pounds since Jake left, not the kind of weight loss anyone bragged about. The doors slid open into a marble foyer, quiet except for the drip of water from her sleeves. She set the bag down, ready to ring and run, when a sharp crash echoed from inside the penthouse. Then a low groan, like someone in pain. Lily froze, her hand hovering over the bell. This wasn't her problem. She should just go. But then another crash came, louder, and something in her gut wouldn't let her walk away. Lily stood in the penthouse foyer, the Thai food bag still warm in her hands, as the second crash rattled through the door. The groan that followed was faint but unmistakable. Someone was hurting in there. Her first instinct was to bolt. She wasn't a cop or a doctor. She was just a delivery girl with a kid waiting at home. But then she thought of Mia, how she'd want someone to help if it were her mom on the other side. She took a shaky breath and called out, "Hello, Mr. Carter, your food's here. Everything okay?" Silence. The rain drummed against the massive windows beyond the door, the only sound in the empty hall. She shifted her weight, ready to leave, when a voice croaked from inside. "Help, Please. It was weak, desperate. Lily's heart kicked up a notch. She pushed the door, it was unlocked, and stepped into a world she'd only seen in magazines. Marble floors stretched out under a chandelier that probably cost more than her old apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the blurry Seattle skyline, rain streaking the glass like tears. But the luxury didn't register as much as the man sprawled on the hardwood near an overturned chair. He was in his late 30s, maybe, with dark hair sticking to his sweaty forehead and a hand clutching his chest. His gray button-down was wrinkled, sleeves rolled up unevenly, like he'd been pacing for days. A shattered whiskey glass glittered on the floor beside him, amber liquid pooling into the cracks. Lily dropped the food bag and rushed over, kneeling fast. "Oh my God, sir, are you okay? What's wrong?" His breathing came in sharp gasps, his face twisted in pain. He shook his head, barely able to speak, and pointed toward a hallway. "Bathroom, counter, meds." Lily didn't hesitate. She sprinted down the hall, her wet sneakers squeaking on the marble, and burst into a bathroom bigger than her whole kitchen. On the counter sat an orange pill bottle, some long name she couldn't pronounce. She grabbed it, filled a glass with water from the sink, and ran back. The man, Monsieur Carter, she assumed, had slumped further, his eyes half closed. "Here, take this," she said, fumbling the cap off and tipping a pill into his trembling hand. He swallowed it dry, then took the water she pressed to his lips, gulping it down like he'd been dying of thirst. For a few tense minutes they stayed like that, her kneeling, him propped against the couch, the only sound his ragged breathing slowing bit by bit. Lily watched him, her own pulse still racing. Up close, she noticed things she hadn't at first. The stubble shadowing his jaw, the bloodshot gray eyes, the way his expensive watch glinted even in the dim light. He didn't look like a guy who belonged in this penthouse. Not tonight, anyway. He looked like he hadn't slept in a week. Finally, he rasped, "Thank you. You didn't have to do that." His voice was rough, like it hadn't been used in a while. Lily sat back on her heels, brushing wet hair from her face. "Yeah, well, I wasn't gonna let you keel over on my shift. What happened? Should I call an ambulance?" He shook his head hard, wincing as he did. "No hospitals. It's heart thing, stress. The pills handle it." She frowned, not convinced, but he waved her off. "I'm fine now. Really." She studied him, unsure. "You don't look fine. When's the last time you ate?" He blinked, like the question caught him off guard, then glanced at the spilled whiskey. "Yesterday, maybe. I don't know." Lily stood, grabbing the food bag she'd dropped. "Well, lucky for you, I've got your dinner right here. Sit tight." She unpacked the containers, pad thai and spring rolls still steaming, and handed him a plastic fork. "Eat slowly. You're no good to anyone if you pass out again." He took the fork, hesitating before digging in. As he ate, Lily glanced around. The penthouse was stunning. Leather furniture, abstract art on the walls, but it felt hollow. Empty takeout boxes littered the kitchen island, and a stack of unopened mail teetered on a desk. It was like a museum nobody lived in. "I'm Lily, by the way," she said, breaking the quiet. "Lily Harper." He looked up, a noodle halfway to his mouth. "Ethan Carter, thanks again, Lily. You probably saved my ass." She shrugged, leaning against the couch. "Just doing my job, sort of." "So, Ethan Carter, why's a guy like you alone in a place like this, stressing himself into a heart attack?" He paused, his fork hovering, then with a faint, bitter smile he said, "Because the people I trusted most are trying to take everything I've got left." "Ever been stabbed in the back, Lily?" She thought of Jake, the note, the empty bank account. "Yeah," she said quietly. "I know the feeling." Ethan set the food down, his gray eyes meeting hers. "Then you get why I'm here, falling apart in my own damn house." Something in his voice, raw, unguarded, hit her hard. She checked her phone. 11:50 p.m. Her shift was over, Mia was safe with Grace, and this guy looked like he'd unravel if she left him alone. "Look," she said, surprising herself. "My place isn't fancy, but it's got a couch. My kid's with my mom tonight. Come crash there. I'd feel better knowing you're not dying on this fancy floor." He stared at her, like he couldn't believe it. "You're inviting a stranger to your house?" She smirked. "You're too weak to be a threat, and honestly, you look like you need a break from whatever this is." She waved at the sterile penthouse. Ethan laughed, a rusty, unused sound, and nodded. "Okay, but we're taking the food." The rain hadn't let up as Lily led Ethan out of Emerald Heights, her bike chained up and forgotten for now. He carried the Thai food bag, moving slow but steady, like he was still piecing himself together. She'd called an Uber. Her treat, she insisted, though it stung her thin wallet. Ethan didn't argue, just climbed into the back seat beside her, his expensive coat brushing against her soggy delivery jacket. The driver didn't bat an eye, probably used to odd pairs in this city. The windshield wipers swished in rhythm with the silence between them, the Seattle lights smearing into streaks outside. Lily's place was a world away from his penthouse, a weathered four-story brick building on a street lined with pawn shops and flickering neon signs. She unlocked the security door, the hinges groaning, and waved him up the stairs. "Third floor," she said over her shoulder. "Elevator's been busted since I moved in." Ethan followed, his breath shallow but determined, like he was proving something to himself. Her apartment door creaked open to 800 square feet of chaos and comfort, a sagging couch, a tiny kitchen with chipped counters, and Mia's toys stacked in bright plastic bins. Photos of Mia, gap-toothed and giggling, lined the walls, a stark contrast to the emptiness of his place. "Make yourself at home," Lily said, kicking off her wet sneakers and tossing her jacket over a chair. "It's not much, but it's ours." Ethan stood in the middle of the room, taking it in, the faded quilt on the couch, the water stain on the ceiling. "It's real," he said, almost to himself. "People live here." She raised an eyebrow, pouring water into a kettle, as opposed to, "What, floating in a penthouse bubble?" He smirked, setting the food on her scratched coffee table. "Something like that." She handed him a chipped mug of tea, nothing fancy, just whatever was in the cupboard, and they settled on opposite ends of the couch, the leftover pad thai between them. Ethan picked at it, his color coming back with every bite. Lily watched him, curiosity burning. "So," she finally said, tucking her legs under her, "what's the deal, Ethan Carter? You've got a penthouse that looks like a movie set, but you're crashing here with me? What's got you so messed up?" He stared into his tea, the steam curling up between them. "You really want the story?" She nodded. "I've got time." He took a slow breath, then started. "I'm Ethan Carter, CEO of Carter Tech. We build biotech, stuff like portable dialysis machines, gene therapies for rare diseases, things that matter, or they used to." His voice hardened. "Right now, my company's being gutted. My own sister, Sophia, is leading the charge. She's teamed up with a rival outfit to sell us off, piece by piece. Says I'm too unstable to run things." Lily's jaw dropped, but she covered it with a sip of tea. "Wait, Carter Tech? The Carter Tech? I read about you guys in some health blog I follow. You're like a big deal." He shrugged, a flicker of pride buried under exhaustion. "We were. I started it 12 years ago, back when I was scraping by in a one-room apartment. Now it's worth billions, at least on paper. But Sophia's convinced the board I'm a liability. Stress brought on this heart thing, arrhythmia. Been hiding it for years, but it's worse now. Tonight was..." He trailed off, rubbing his chest absently. "That why you were alone up there?" she asked, softer now. He nodded. "I pushed everyone away. Assistants, friends, what's left of my family. Didn't want them seeing me like this, weak. Lily set her mug down, her green eyes steady on his. Doesn't sound weak to me. Sounds like you're fighting a war nobody else sees. He met her gaze, surprised, like he hadn't expected that. What about you? He asked, turning it back. Why's a girl like you biking through the rain at midnight? She laughed, dry and short. A girl like me? You mean broke and desperate? He winced, but she waved it off. It's fine. Truth is, my ex Jake screwed me over 6 months ago. We were together 5 years, had Mia. I thought we were solid. Then he cleaned out our accounts. Gambling, turns out, and split. Left a note. Sorry. That's it. I had to sell everything, start over. Now I deliver food all day and bake cakes at night when Mia's asleep. It's not pretty, but it keeps us going. Ethan leaned back, processing. He just left? No warning? She nodded, staring at Mia's photo on the wall. Yeah. One day I'm frosting cupcakes, the next I'm calling debt collectors. Mia's the only reason I don't fall apart. He followed her gaze to the picture, his expression softening. She's lucky to have you. Lily snorted. She's stuck with me, you mean? Single mom life's not for the faint-hearted. A quiet settled over them, heavy but not uncomfortable. Two strangers, worlds apart, suddenly not so different. Ethan broke it first. You ever feel like the people who hurt you win if you stop fighting? She thought of Jake, the smug way he'd probably smirked as he walked out. All the time, but I can't let him win, not when Mia's counting on me. Ethan nodded like he got it, really got it. Same here. Sophia thinks she's got me beat, but I'm not done yet. Lily checked her phone. 12:30 a.m. She should have been exhausted, but something about Ethan's story kept her awake. Look, she said, standing to grab a blanket from a basket. You're not going back to that penthouse tonight. Not after what happened. Crash here. Mia's with my mom till tomorrow, so I can make sure you don't croak on me. He raised an eyebrow, a faint smile tugging at his lips. You're serious? Dead serious, she shot back, tossing him the blanket. You're a mess, Ethan Carter, and I'm not letting you unravel alone up there. Besides, I've got nowhere to be till morning. He caught the blanket, staring at her like he couldn't quite figure her out. You're something else, Lily Harper. She grinned, heading to the kitchen to rinse their mugs. Yeah, well, you're not so bad yourself, for a guy who almost died on my delivery route. As she turned off the lights, leaving him to settle on the couch, she couldn't shake the feeling that this night, this random, rainy mess, was about to change everything. And maybe, just maybe, Ethan felt it too. Lily's apartment was quiet as dawn crept through the blinds, painting thin stripes of light across the living room. She'd barely slept, her mind replaying the night. Ethan's collapse, his story, the way he'd looked at Mia's photo like it meant something to him. She padded out of her bedroom in an old sweatshirt, expecting to find him still crashed on the couch. Instead, the blanket was folded neatly, and the smell of coffee, real coffee, not her cheap instant stuff, drifted from the kitchen. Ethan stood at her tiny stove, flipping something in a pan with a focus she hadn't seen in him last night. He'd ditched the rumpled button down for a plain black t-shirt from his overnight bag, his hair still damp from a shower. Morning, he said, glancing over with a half smile. Hope you don't mind. I hit the corner store before you were up. Figured I owed you breakfast. Lily blinked, smoothing her messy ponytail. You didn't have to do that. I was gonna nuke some oatmeal or something. He slid a golden piece of French toast onto a plate, the edges crisp and perfect. Oatmeal's fine, but this is better. Grab a mug, coffee's on the counter. She sniffed the air, spotting a bag of fresh grounds next to a carton of orange juice and a pint of strawberries. You went all out, she said, pouring herself a cup. The rich smell hit her like a hug she hadn't known she needed. They sat at her wobbly kitchen table, the morning sun spilling through the window. The French toast was unreal. Buttery, sweet, better than anything she'd baked in months. Ethan ate slowly, like he was savoring it too. I haven't cooked for anyone in years, he admitted, cutting a strawberry in half. Feels good, actually. Lily swallowed a bite, studying him. He looked different in the daylight, less haunted, more human. "You're full of surprises, Ethan Carter. CEO by day, chef by morning." He chuckled, a low, easy sound. "Hardly. Just a guy who used to make this for himself when he couldn't afford much else." She tilted her head. "Before Carter Tech?" He nodded. "Grew up in a trailer park outside Tacoma. Mom worked doubles at a diner, Dad was long gone. French toast was my big rebellion. Splurging on bread and eggs when we had a good week." Lily leaned back, the mug warm in her hands. "Sounds like my kind of rebellion. Mia and I splurge on sprinkles sometimes. Makes her day." Ethan's eyes softened. "She's got your smile, you know. From the pictures." Lily glanced at the wall, where Bea beamed in a frame. "Yeah, she's my whole world. Keeps me sane." He nodded, like he got it, and for a moment they just ate, the clink of forks filling the quiet. Then her phone buzzed on the table. Grace's name flashing. Lily's stomach dropped. "Mom?" "Everything okay with Mia?" she answered, her voice tight. Grace's tone was calm but worried. "She's got a fever, sweetie. Hit 101 this morning. She's asking for you." Lily was already up, grabbing a notepad from the counter. "How bad is it? She eating?" Grace sighed. "Not much. Probably just a bug, but you know how she gets." Lily scribbled a reminder for medicine. "I'll grab some Tylenol and be there soon as I can." "Thanks, Mom." She hung up, already halfway to her bedroom, calling back, "I've got to cancel my shift. Mia needs me." Ethan stood, wiping his hands on a dish towel. "Let me drive you." She froze in the doorway, one sock on. "What?" He stepped closer, his voice steady. "My driver can take us. It'll be faster than the bus, and we can stop for whatever Mia needs. You don't have to do this alone." Lily hesitated, her pride flaring. She'd been doing everything alone since Jake bailed. But Mia's fever wasn't something to mess with, and every minute counted. "Okay," she said finally. "Thank you." 30 minutes later, they were in the back of a sleek black SUV, the kind of car Lily only saw in movies. Ethan's driver, a no-nonsense woman named Carla, weaved through traffic like it was nothing. Lily fidgeted with her phone, texting Grace updates, while Ethan sat beside her, calm but alert. "She'll be fine," he said, his hand brushing hers for a second. "Kids bounce back fast." Lily sighed. "I know. It's just, when it's only you, every little thing feels huge. No one else to lean on." He nodded, staring out the window. "I get that more than you'd think." They stopped at a pharmacy, and Ethan hopped out before she could argue. He came back with a bag stuffed full, not just the kids' Tylenol she'd asked for, but a stuffed bunny, a coloring book, and a pack of juice boxes. "What's all this?" she asked, peering inside. He shrugged, a little sheepish. "Sick day kit. My mom used to bring me comics when I was down. Made it suck less." Lily's throat tightened. "You didn't have to," she said. But the gesture hit her hard. Grace's house was a modest split level in a quiet suburb, the yard overgrown but loved. Ethan waited in the car while Lily ran in. Mia was a limp bundle in her arms when she came out, flushed cheeks, sweaty curls sticking to her forehead, wrapped in a bunny blanket. Grace trailed behind with Mia's backpack, eyeing the SUV. "This your friend?" she whispered, nodding at Ethan. Lily shifted Mia's weight. "Yeah, Mom. Ethan, he's helping us out." Grace raised an eyebrow but smiled at him through the window. "Thanks for pitching in. My car's at the shop." "No trouble," Ethan called back, his attention flicking to Mia. She peeked at him, her voice small. "You're big," he grinned, leaning forward. "And you're sharp. How's that fever treating you?" Mia managed a tiny smile before burying her face in Lily's shoulder. The drive home was soft with Mia's whimpers, Lily murmuring comfort while Ethan passed back tissues from the front seat. His eyes caught hers in the rear view every so often, quiet and steady, like he'd stay as long as she needed. Back at the apartment, Lily settled Mia on the couch with cartoons flickering on their ancient TV. She measured out the Tylenol, pressing a cool cloth to Mia's forehead as the girl dozed fitfully. Ethan moved around them like he belonged, unpacking the pharmacy hall, boiling water for tea without asking. Hours blurred by, Mia's fever spiking despite the meds, her little body restless. Lily held her close, humming a lullaby she'd made up years ago, her voice cracking from exhaustion. She almost forgot Ethan was there until he sank onto the couch beside her, handing over a fresh cloth. "You're good at this," he said quietly, watching Mia's chest rise and fall. Lily brushed a curl from her daughter's face. "You don't have to stick around, you know. I'm sure you've got CEO stuff to handle." He shook his head, his gray eyes serious. "Nothing's more important than this right now." She looked at him, really looked, and saw something she hadn't before. A guy who'd been alone too long, finding a reason to stay. As evening fell, Mia's fever finally broke. Her breathing eased, her small hand clutching the bunny Ethan had bought. Lily carried her to the toddler bed in their shared room, leaving the door cracked. When she stepped back into the living room, Ethan was at her laptop, his brow furrowed. "What are you doing?" she asked, crossing her arms. He glanced up, almost guilty. "Caught a look at your baking portfolio. These cakes? The designs, the colors? It's incredible, Lily." "You're wasted on delivery." She flushed, brushing it off. "It's just freelance stuff. Small gigs." He turned the screen toward her, pointing at a wedding cake with delicate sugar flowers. "This isn't small, it's art. Ever thought about doing it full time?" She sank onto the couch, suddenly tired. "Sure, in a perfect world, but perfect worlds don't pay bills." Ethan leaned forward, his voice low and sure. "What if I could change that?" Lily sat on the couch, her legs curled under her, staring at Ethan like he'd just suggested she sprout wings and fly. "Change that?" she echoed, her voice a mix of disbelief and exhaustion. Mia's soft snores drifted from the bedroom, a reminder of why she couldn't afford to dream big. Ethan leaned forward, elbows on his knees, his gray eyes locked on hers. "I'm serious, Lily. Your work, it's not just good, it's next level. Carter Tech's launching a new campaign for our portable dialysis tech. We need someone to make it pop, visually, emotionally. You could be that person." She blinked, her mind scrambling to catch up. "You're offering me a job? Like, a real job?" He nodded, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Creative director for the public comms team. 6 figures, full benefits, flexible hours, so you're there for Mia. Based on what I saw on your laptop, you're more qualified than half the suits I've interviewed." Lily's breath caught. 6 figures. That was more money than she'd ever imagined. Enough to ditch the debt Jake left. Enough to give Mia a real home. Enough to stop pedaling through the rain for tips. But then reality kicked in, sharp and cold. "Hold up," she said, raising a hand. "You're a CEO fighting a takeover, right? You said last night your sister's trying to sell your company out from under you. What happens if you lose?" Ethan's smile faded, his jaw tightening. "Fair point. The shareholder votes in a week. If Sophia wins, I'm out. No company, no job to offer. But if I pull this off, and I think I can, the gig's yours, no question." Lily rubbed her temples, the weight of it sinking in. "So it's a maybe job. A big, shiny maybe." He didn't flinch. "It's a risk, yeah. But I'm not just blowing smoke. Even if I lose Carter Tech, I've got plans. Another venture, something smaller, truer to why I started this in the first place. I'd still need you. Your talent's wasted on cupcakes for birthday parties." She shot him a look. "Hey, those cupcakes pay my rent." He held up his hands. "No offense. I'm just saying you deserve more." She wanted to believe him. God, did she want to. But trust wasn't her strong suit anymore, not after Jake. "Why me, Ethan? You've known me, what, a day? You could hire some hotshot from an agency. He leaned back, running a hand through his hair. Because you're real. You get people, how they think, what moves them. And honestly, I trust you. That's not something I've got a lot of right now. The room went quiet, the hum of the fridge the only sound. Lily's head spun. 6 figures, a chance to bake her way out of this hole, a guy who saw something in her she'd stopped seeing herself. I'll think about it, she said finally. Help me with your presentation, though. If you're going to win this fight, you need all the ammo you can get. Ethan grinned, a spark lighting his tired eyes. Deal. Let's make it killer. They spent the next hour at her kitchen table, her laptop glowing between them. She sketched ideas, bold, warm visuals of families thriving thanks to his tech, tied to her own flair for detail. He talked her through the science, his voice picking up speed, passion cutting through the fatigue. It felt good working together, like they'd known each other longer than a rainy night. Mia stirred once, calling out in her sleep, and Lily slipped away to tuck her back in. Ethan's quiet, "She's lucky to have you," echoing in her head. She was rinsing their mugs when her phone buzzed again. Not Grace this time, but a text from her landlord. Her stomach sank as she read it. Building sold, 30 days to vacate. Sorry, Lily. She stared at the screen, her hands shaking. Perfect timing, just when she thought she might catch a break. You okay? Ethan asked, catching the shift in her face. She tossed the phone onto the counter. Landlord's kicking us out, selling the place. We've got a month to find somewhere new. Ethan frowned, setting his pen down. Can he do that? She nodded, pressing a hand to her forehead. Lease has a clause. Happens all the time around here. Old buildings get flipped for condos. Just my luck. He was quiet for a beat, then said, Move in with me. Her head snapped up. What? He raised his hands fast. Not like that. My penthouse has 3 bedrooms. You and Mia could have your own space. No rent, no strings, just till you figure things out. Lily laughed, sharp and incredulous. You're insane. I can't just move into your fancy tower. He didn't back down. Why not? You need a place, I've got room. It's not charity. I'd feel better knowing you're not scrambling while Mia's still sick. She crossed her arms, pacing the tiny kitchen. People would talk, Ethan. Delivery girl shacks up with Billionaire. Sounds like a bad tabloid. He shrugged, his voice edged with something fierce. Let them talk. For once, I don't give a damn what anyone thinks. She stopped, caught off guard by the heat in his words. It wasn't just an offer. It was a lifeline from a guy who'd been drowning in his own way. I don't know, she said, softer now. It's a lot. Mia's my priority. I can't mess this up for her. Ethan stepped closer, not crowding her, just close enough to matter. You won't. I've seen how you fight for her. This isn't about me playing hero. It's about you getting a shot you deserve. And maybe I need this too. A reason to remember why I built Carter Tech, not for money, but for people like Mia. Her throat tightened. She thought of Mia's fever, the debt, the endless grind. Then she thought of Ethan, alone in that penthouse, trusting her when he had no one else. Let me sleep on it, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Big day tomorrow, right? Mia's checkup, you're prepped for the vote? He nodded, backing off with a small smile. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. Yet. She turned off the kitchen light, leaving him to the couch again, but sleep didn't come easy. The idea of moving in, of taking his job, spun in her head like a carousel she couldn't stop. It was crazy, too fast, too risky. But as she listened to Mia's steady breathing through the cracked door, she wondered if crazy might be exactly what she needed to climb out of this hole. The next morning, she woke to Mia's giggles and the smell of pancakes. Ethan at it again, this time with her daughter perched on a stool, helping with a wooden spoon. Mommy, he makes funny faces. Mia chirped, her fever gone, her eyes bright. Lily's heart twisted. Maybe this could work. Maybe... But then her phone buzzed with another text, this one from an unknown number. Enjoy your little fairy tale, it won't last. Her blood ran cold. Who the hell was this? And why did it feel like someone was watching her every move? Lily stood in the doorway of Ethan's penthouse 3 days later, watching Mia chase a sunbeam across the marble floor. The move had happened fast, too fast, maybe, but after that creepy text and Mia's fever breaking, she'd said yes. Ethan had turned a spare bedroom into a kid's paradise overnight. Dinosaur sheets, a glowing nightlight, even a little table for Mia's crayons. Lily's stuff fit in one corner of the guest suite, her mismatched pillows clashing with the sleek furniture. It felt surreal, like she'd stumbled into someone else's life. Ethan appeared beside her, 2 mugs of tea in hand. She's settling in, he said, nodding at Mia as she flopped onto a rug with her bunny. Lily took the mug, the warmth steadying her. Yeah, pediatrician says the virus is almost gone. She's tougher than me. He smiled, softer than usual. She gets that from you. They moved to the living room, now less sterile, with Mia's toys scattered in a corner and Lily's photos on a shelf. It wasn't home yet, but it was something. Tomorrow's the big day, she said, sinking onto the couch. The shareholder vote loomed over Ethan like a storm cloud, and she'd spent every spare hour helping him prep. He sat across from her, his expression tight but determined. Yeah, presentation's locked in. I've called every board member who will still pick up. 4 out of 11, not great odds, but it's a start. Lily leaned forward. It's brilliant, Ethan. The visuals we built, those families, the hope in their faces, it ties your dialysis tech to something real, and the premium service plan keeps the profit steady. They'd be idiots to vote you out. He rubbed his jaw, doubt flickering in his gray eyes. Maybe. But Sophia's had months to twist the narrative. Shareholders don't like risk, they like safe bets. She's got them scared. Lily reached out, her hand brushing his arm. You're not just a bet. You're the guy who built this from nothing. They'll see that. He covered her hand with his, a quiet thanks in the gesture, and for a second the air felt charged, like they were on the edge of something neither could name. The next day, Lily sat in the back of Carter Tech's boardroom, dressed in a borrowed blazer that still smelled like Ethan's cologne. The room buzzed with suits and sharp whispers as shareholders filed in, their faces a mix of curiosity and impatience. Ethan stood at the front, shoulders squared, projecting calm even though she knew his heart was probably racing. Sophia swept in last, all sleek hair and designer heels, flanked by advisors. She was younger than Lily expected. Early 30s, maybe, with Ethan's gray eyes but none of his warmth. Her gaze flicked to Lily, narrowing slightly, and she muttered something to the guy next to her. Lily caught the words, new girlfriend, from a nearby whisper and flushed, but kept her chin up. Sophia kicked things off, her voice smooth as glass. Ethan's leadership has been erratic. Stock dips, missed meetings, health concerns. Selling to Horizon Bio now locks in our value before his vision tanks it. She flashed charts of shaky numbers and a letter from a rattled exec, painting Ethan as a loose cannon. Lily clenched her fists. It was slick, ruthless, and half-true at best. Yeah, he didn't start with stats, he started with a story. 12 years ago, I built Carter Tech in a garage with one goal: make life better for people who can't wait. Somewhere I lost that, chasing growth, numbers, but I'm back now. His eyes found Lily for a split second, grounding him. This isn't about scrapping profit, it's about purpose. He launched into the presentation, slides glowing with her designs, a single mom smiling as her kid used his tech, stats showing steady growth with the new plan. It was bold, human, undeniable. When he finished, an older guy in the front row, an engineer with a weathered face, stood up. I signed on for Ethan's vision. I'm with him. Others chimed in, some wary of Sophia's hardline pitch. The vote came after a tense lunch break. 6-5, Ethan's favor. One last-minute flip, swayed by the engineer's words. In the car afterward, Ethan was quiet, his hands loose on his knees. "We did it," Lily said, grinning. "You're still CEO." He turned to her, a slow smile breaking through. "You did it. Those visuals, they hit home." She laughed. "Team effort. So, that job still on the table?" He nodded. "Yours if you want it. And the penthouse. Stay as long as you need. Mia's got a good thing going." She reached for his hand, her fingers lacing with his. "Home day at a time, right? We've both been through hell. Maybe this is where the good stuff starts." They drove back in comfortable silence, the city lights blurring past. Lily thought of Mia, giggling in that big bedroom, and Ethan fighting for something bigger than himself. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. She was still floating on that high when her phone buzzed with another text from that unknown number. Her stomach dropped as she opened it. "You think you saved him? I'm the one pulling the strings. Enjoy your win, Lily. It's temporary." She froze, the words sinking in like ice. "Ethan," she said, her voice shaking. He glanced over, instantly alert. "What's wrong?" She handed him the phone, her hands trembling. "This came after the landlord text. Someone's watching us." He read it, his face hardening. "Who'd send this?" She swallowed hard, a name clawing up from the past. "Jake, my ex. He's the only one who'd care enough to mess with me like this." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "Why now? What's he got against me?" Lily's mind raced. Jake's gambling, his petty grudges, the way he'd always hated losing her. He knew I was moving on. Maybe he found out about you, saw us together somehow. He's spiteful enough to... She trailed off, a worse thought hitting her. What if he's working with Sophia, feeding her dirt, pushing this takeover to get back at me through you? Ethan's grip tightened on the phone. If he is, he's not just after you. He's after everything I've built. She stared out the window, the city suddenly menacing. He walked out on me and Mia like we were nothing. Now he's back screwing with us? Ethan slid closer, his arm brushing hers. He doesn't get to win, not this time. We'll figure it out, together. She nodded, leaning into him, but the fear didn't fade. Jake wasn't just a ghost from her past. He was a shadow over their future, and he'd just made his first move. Back at the penthouse, Mia ran to greet them, oblivious to the storm brewing. Lily scooped her up, burying her face in her daughter's curls, while Ethan paced to his office, already on the phone with a PI he trusted. The victory felt hollow now, tainted by a threat neither of them saw coming. Lily kissed Mia's forehead, whispering, "We're okay, baby," but her eyes locked with Ethan's across the room. They'd won the battle, but the war was just starting, and Jake was playing a game dirtier than they'd ever imagined. Lily hugged Mia tighter as the little girl squirmed, giggling about the bunny Ethan had given her. The penthouse felt warmer now, with Mia's chatter bouncing off the walls, but that text from Jake hung over Lily like a dark cloud. She set Mia down, watching her scamper to her new room, then turned to Ethan. He was off the phone now, his face set in a grim line as he joined her on the couch. "PI's on it," he said, voice low. "If Jake's behind this or tied to Sophia, we'll know soon. Guy's good at digging up dirt." She nodded, twisting her hands in her lap. "I can't believe he'd stoop this low. Leaving me and Mia was one thing, but this? Messing with your company with us?" Her voice cracked, anger and fear tangling together. Ethan reached over, his hand closing over hers. "He's not winning, Lily. Not over you, not over me. We've got too much to fight for." His grip was steady, grounding her, and she let out a shaky breath. "Yeah, you, me, Mia, we're a team now, right?" He smiled, small but real. "Damn right. And tomorrow we start rebuilding. I keep Carter Tech on track, you take that creative director gig, we make it work." She squeezed his hand back, the weight of the day lifting just enough to breathe. "One day at a time." Mia's happy here, and I think I could be too. Ethan's eyes softened, something unspoken passing between them. So could I. You and Mia, you're reminding me what matters. Mia's laughter rang out again, pulling them both back. Lily stood, brushing her hair back. I'll get her to bed. Big day tomorrow, new job, new life, all that jazz. Ethan rose too, heading to his office. I'll dig into Sophia's moves, see if Jake's name pops up. We're not letting him blindside us again. She nodded, feeling the strength in that we. As she tucked Mia in, humming that old lullaby, she glanced out at the city skyline. It glittered, beautiful but sharp, hiding threats she couldn't yet see. Across town, Jake leaned against a grimy bar counter, his phone glowing with a photo of Lily and Ethan leaving Carter Tech. His smirk was cold, calculating. You're not out of this yet, he muttered, downing his drink. Whatever came next, Lily and Ethan wouldn't see it coming. But neither would he.